as well. Okay, so can you guys hear me? Okay, okay. So let me start. I hope everyone's doing well in their, quarantine / epidemic. Actually, I know this is being quite stressful for all of us, but I hope everyone's doing well. I actually have not done any sort of physical activity for a month, and it really shows. Like, I'm wildly out of shape, but nevertheless, let me just get started. So before I dive into my presentation, I would like to give everyone a little bit of background on who I am and like what I'm doing and all those things. My name is Gennady. I'm originally from Russia, and I've moved to Hong Kong 5 years ago, and I moved here for university initially, but now I started working, and I'm currently working as a fashion editor in a Hong Kong-based department store. So, but my talk today, it won't be on fashion, it won't be on text, it won't be on writing, it would rather be on creativity in general and about creative people. So, and I will try to talk about the issues that the creative industry is facing at the moment. Now, of course, the name of my talk is 3 Points in a Plane. Unfortunately, I will not be discussing geometry here, but I do want to draw your attention to the number of 3 and the power that it has. And actually, many artists around the world, they really notice the special meaning behind the number of 3. For example, one artist that I really truly enjoy, Chiao. So he is a contemporary artist and a painter, and he has worked with Kanye West on multiple occasions in the past. But what he is mostly well known for is his 3 words poems. Now, in his recent lecture with Harvard University, he has explained his affinity towards the number of 3. And he said that if 1 is equal to singularity and 2 is the duality, then 3 is infinity. And it actually makes perfect sense, because if you think about it in context of opinions and perspective, if you think of number of 2, then you will have just 2 opposing points of view. But if you add another perspective to it, making that number into 3, you'll have a whole new realm of possibilities open up in front of you. You know what I mean? And that's where the geometry analogy comes in, because, as geometry tells us, 3 points in space that are not aligned are enough to trace a plane through them. And what is a plane is basically a collection of an infinite number of points, right? Which in this case are opinions. Now, here are some more 3 words poems of Chiao to give you guys some better idea of his work. And you should really check him out. So now, without the further ado, I would like to introduce you guys to our little project. Now, I have collaborated with a couple of my friends to, create a platform, a new media platform that will harness the idea behind Jim Jones', three-word poems and applies it to try to start conversations in the creative space. Now, we call ourselves GASP, and we are an online platform for now, mostly on social media, mostly on Instagram. And so yeah, just give me a quick second. So yes, basically, why did we create GASP? We created it to react to the pandemic of the 2020, because this is the time of uncertainty. This is the time where we feel out of control. And it is also a perfect opportunity to start, document the conversations with the leaders of the creative space. So our goal here at GASP is to create a community that is connected and active. We're not trying to predict the future. We're not trying to bury the past of the creative industries. It is more about finding ways to interpret of what matters at the moment. And what we're trying to do here is really to pull the focus onto creatives and to allow them to control their own narrative, and we as GASP editors, we're just acting as facilitators. We're just trying to moderate the conversations. We're not pushing our own agenda because that is actually the way you would see things work in modern day magazines, right? Because every single interview, every single article, it would go through the prism of the perception of an editor. We have eliminated that, and we're just allowing creatives to, voice their ideas by themselves, and we are just trying to amplify their voices. Yes, as I mentioned before. Now, with that being said, I am incredibly proud to introduce our first campaign as GASP. Now, in the framework of this campaign, we have collaborated with creative leaders from all over the vast realm of the creative industries. We have spoken to jewelry designers, we have spoken to photographers, to interior designers, fashion designers, painters, sculptors, and the list goes on and on. And we have asked those leaders to give us their perspective and their thoughts and insights on how this pandemic has changed their artistry, their business ventures, and their wellness. And we were so obviously fascinated and surprised by the number of perspectives that we have received. Some of them we never even thought of. Now, as I have mentioned before, our goal is to start conversations among creative leaders. But as you may know, the greatest way to start a conversation is with a question. That is why we asked the creatives that we're collaborating with to voice their perspectives in shape of questions. We asked them to provide us with 3 questions about their, their craft, their business, etc., and to try to relate it to the current events that are shaking the creative industry. Now, yes, so next up, I would like to, sort of introduce everyone to some of the highlights of the people that we have featured already, the ones that we're very proud of. The first one is brilliant jewelry designer, Karina Mihaela Larpin. She is the head designer of Stefere Jewelry. It's a fine jewelry brand. And she has designed jewelry for the Met Ball, for Emmys, Grammys, and for celebrities all over the world, for the biggest A-listers, the biggest ones that you can think of. She probably has designed jewelry for them. And it was very interesting to, talk to her, to receive some of her thoughts on the issues of the pandemic and how it affects the jewelry industry. And obviously, as you can see from the screen, her questions were more business oriented. It was mostly about the jewelry industry from the business perspective, from the stores, how to get people back there, from the problems that are, the jewelry industry is facing, and etc., etc. Needless to say, she provided us with some great insight. But also, as a side note, we are currently collaborating with quite a number of jewelry designers, and it is so interesting to really see how, in such a niche sector as fine jewelry, how different those perspectives are. For example, some people focus more on the business of things, some other people more focus on the artistry, and others on the sentiment of jewelry. Yes, our next highlight I would like to introduce is a brilliant photographer from Rome, Manuel Mann. Now, his work really speaks for itself, and his art was seen on the pages of Vogue Italia multiple times. And obviously, the questions he asked were about the photography in a very conceptual, emotional, and sentimental sense. He questioned the very value of photography and how is it going to change after the pandemic, of course. Now, our next highlight that I'm very proud to introduce, sort of, is Theory Chiao. Now, Theory Chiao is an amazing, talented feng shui designer based here in Hong Kong. She was actually among the very first people we have reached out to, and I think she was the first person to respond as well. Truly, truly lovely. And, because feng shui is really a discipline that focuses on wellness and on positivity and on how to really position the objects, uh, position the objects around your home to create a positive environment. That is why her questions focus more on the wellness of it all. As you may see from your screen, like, how are we going to bring more focus onto creating positively and creating positivity? And obviously, like, such sentiments are really important at the, in such days. Yes, it was very exciting to speak to her as well. Now, whenever I introduce GASP to people, I get questions like, what's the point of just asking questions? When are we going to hear the answers? Who is going to provide the answers? Like, why does it matter to just keep asking and asking? Well, the only thing I can say about that for now is that the answers will be provided. on our platform. The answers to the questions that we have collected, they will be provided, not by us, by other exciting representatives of the creative industries. But that's as much as I can say about that at the moment, because that is actually the whole point of our next campaign, which we are going to introduce very, very soon. So if it's something that really interests you, stay tuned. Yes, and I think that is about it for me. Yes, please give us some love on our Instagram at Gasp Media with some support, some of thoughts, some of your opinions, some of your questions. We are very open to hear and to receive, the feedback. So yes, that is about it, you guys. If anyone has any questions, please, please, please feel free to ask them. If anyone has any feedback, or if you guys want to discuss anything regarding GASP and our philosophy, please let me know. I would love to have a little chat about it. So yeah, that's about it, you guys. Any questions, any feedback at all, feel free to stop me and just ask. Unfortunately, I cannot see the chat thingy at the moment. So if you have any question, you can just like speak into the microphone and like interrupt me. I'm really trying to figure this whole Zoom thing out. Just asking, how do I access the chat from here?
Maybe
All right.
you can access it on the side.
Oh yeah,
I can. More. Can you see it now?
Yeah, I just had to stop sharing the screen. Thanks, April.
I have a question for you, Gennady.
Yeah.
So, reading all those questions, how do you have any of your own questions regarding this pandemic as a creative writer?
That is a great question. Well, so I guess as someone in the writing sector, my biggest question is that how is media going to change after the pandemic? That's the biggest one. My second one is that how do we conserve the true meaning of words? Because right now, obviously, we live in such a world that is so centered around images and not exactly text. So is there a way for us to really, conserve that true meaning of that texts give us, instead of just jumping to videos or images or whatever, And my third question, I actually haven't thought of it myself, so thanks for asking this. My third question would be, because I'm a fashion writer, so I'm wondering what is the fashion industry going to do after the pandemic? Like, are we still gonna keep having those pointless and boring fashion shows like 4 times a year? Or are we gonna have something interesting and new? Who knows? Thank you for a question, April. Really appreciate that. Does anyone else have any other questions? Or does anyone want any clarifications, etc.? If feel free to type it up, or to just speak into your microphone. I'll try to the best of my semi-existing ability to respond to them. Right. Well, I guess if there are no questions, I would say that is it, you guys. Thank you so much for everyone who has joined us. Thank you so much for everybody who, took some time to listen to our ideas and our vision. Really appreciate that. Again, give us some love on Instagram. Really appreciate that. And thank you so much for your time. Thank you.